All right, let me in fact get a quick comment from our experts as well. Vijay Chopra of Enoch Ventures is joining us on the show today. Ruchit Jain of Angel Broking also is there to take us through his technical perspective. But Vijay, let me come to you first. In light of what we're just seeing right now, as far as Reliance Capital is concerned, stock spiking on the back of what we're just hearing regarding where they've actually looking to acquire Goldman Sachs asset management business in India. What's your reading of this?
Well, I think a lot of action is happening in this counter, and lately we, got to know about the Nippon deal in the insurance space, and then this news about the Goldman Sachs acquisition. I think that the company is now trying to consolidate its operations now, and it should head up. My take is that the stock has the potential of reaching about 500 odd. Although I'm not very bullish on most of the ADAG group companies, but Reliance Capital can be an exception as of now, and I think that the stock should positively react to the news.
Vijay, more importantly, we're also hearing as to what kind of reforms have been lined up when we talk about this sector. Do you believe that's the other angle that's leading to this kind of consolidation, where some of the stronger players are looking to make the most of this opportunity right now and acquire some of the smaller players, consolidate their position? Just to get a sense from you, because we've been hearing what the IRD is also lined up out here in regard to regulations. Just to get some perspective from you on that, Vijay.
Well, I think that this always happens in the industry. The bigger players take up on the smaller players, and this is the way consolidation happens. Yes, definitely there is an angle where IRDA can also talk about the can play the spoil sport. But I think that Reliance Capital must have thought they must have thought it over for sure. So the stock.
Hold that thought. Let me in fact go across to Shell. He's looking at that press release in detail, and I'll come back to you and get more perspective from you on the entire transaction. But Shell, you go first. What's the fine print here?
Hi Priyankshi, this is the third major news which is coming from Reliance Capital. Just to put it into perspective, recently we had heard that Nippon had gotten an increased stake in Reliance Capital Asset Management from 35 to 49%. Then just recently there was news flow of Reliance Capital going ahead and giving ESOPs to the top management. That was another major news flow. And this is the third major news flow coming in, when Reliance Capital Asset Management is all set to acquire Goldman Sachs onshore asset management business in India. The overall acquisition price is 243 crore. So that is the main number to watch out for. Besides that, also recorded average assets under management of Goldman Sachs Asset Management is 7,132 crore. This is the number as of 30th of September, and the boards of both companies have already gone in and approved this acquisition, so it's pretty much gone through. And again, they go ahead and say that this is one of the larger transactions that we have seen in some time. So it is clearly one of those positive developments that we've seen. This is the third major news flow coming in from the company, as I said, in the current month.
All right, Shah, thanks for getting us those updates there. Vijay, just want to quickly once again reiterate, when we talk about this entire space, what's your reading when it comes to the sector? And when we talk about this kind of consolidation, what kind of an indication does it give you when we talk about sector dynamics?
Well, there are a lot of things happening in the financial domain as of now. If you look at the insurance space, bigger players are now coming in. Nippon increasing its stake definitely clearly shows that the kind of insurance penetration which is expected to happen in India, we want to bank upon it. Number two, I think that Reliance Capital as a company, it's now planning for the big move, and I think that they're making all the right moves, and possibly the stock can run up positively to this news.
In fact, you're already seeing a reaction, Vijay, on the back of what you're saying here. 3.3% high, and you can see that spike now clearly on the intraday chart as well in regard to what we're tracking, where they've announced the acquisition of Goldman Sachs asset management onshore business for 243 crores. The AUM of Goldman Sachs asset management stood at somewhere around 7,000 crores is what we're seeing, predominantly equity base of somewhere roughly around 4,600 crores is what we're seeing as far as the Goldman Sachs asset management business is concerned. Stock up almost 3.1, 3.2 as far as RCAP is concerned. Ruchit, any thoughts here on the technicals as well as to what kind of a reading you're picking up looking at today's action? Ruchit, if you can take me through your technical outlook on this.
Yeah, probably Reliance Capital, if we just observe in the recent parts, it has been forming this higher top, higher bottom formation. In fact, if we just observe the charts, if we just compare it to Nifty, then Reliance Capital bottomed out first before Nifty, when Nifty bottomed around 7,540. On the higher side, if you just observe the weekly charts, then 50% retracement of the entire correction of last 1 year is coming around 440. So it's quite possibility, in the near term itself for short-term traders who are holding the stock, that the stock could move up to 440 levels. So one should continue to hold the stock who have bought it from a trading perspective. And after a 50% retracement up to 440, the stock should give a corrective action again. And on the dips, again, medium to long-term investors can look to accumulate the stock.
Alright, so that's as far as our cap is concerned. 3.2% higher right now is what we're seeing on that counter. Both are market experts more or less indicating there's still some steam left as far as the counter is concerned, and you could possibly see a higher move on the stock. In fact, let me get a quick comment from some of the other market experts who've been tracking the space closely. Mr. G. Chokalingam also joining in on the phone line there. Mr. Chokalingam, thanks so much for taking the time out today. What's your reading as to what we've seen, where Reliance Capital has just announced the acquisition of Goldman Sachs Asset Management onshore business for 243 crore rupees?
Definitely, of course, the deal is small, but certainly it's a right move, because it's already a leader in the country. And there are 2-3 facts, which would help this company to improve its valuation further on the market. One, first of all, we had already seen, in many segment of financial space, it's Japanese collaborators buying out the stake, and that's a very healthy sign. And two, Indian investor participation in the equity market as a direct or through mutual fund is still very small. And with the kind of political stability we are seeing and the fastest GDP growth expected from India, I see in the next 3 to 4 years a substantial opportunity for the the mutual fund industry assets to grow in a very big way. And also, the Reliance Capital, as we discussed earlier, it's already quoting at a significant discount to its adjusted book value. So in this background, acquiring at a very nominal price this asset is certainly going to add to the size of overall assets, and it will help them to grow in a much bigger way going forward. So therefore, I believe that it's a positive move, and there is an opportunity for the stock to move at least another 10-15%, at least to extent of bridging the gap between adjusted book value and the market price.
All right. In fact, I'm getting to learn right now that there's a press conference lined up at around 12:30 today, where the management of Reliance Capital will probably highlight more in regard to the way the transactions panned out, the rationale, and also the kind of synergies that we'll actually get on the back of this, or the kind of benefits that the company will stand to gain. 12:30 p.m. today, Reliance Cap AMC Sandeep Sikka will be speaking at that press conference. You can catch all of that on Bloomberg TV India today. But Vijay, one interesting aspect of this acquisition out here is the focus on the ETF market, because I believe that's where Goldman Sachs actually had a decent hold, a decent presence as well. And this has been a space where we've seen the government, we've seen a lot of the local voices also trying to encourage a lot of investors to get into. Do you believe that's where you'll really get a lot of benefit for Reliance Cap Asset Management?
Well, for sure, Reliance will get a lot of mileage out of the ETF market. Lately, if you see, in the last 5 years, the way the interest in ETFs has grown up.
Okay.
I think that it's commendable. And the government also is motivating people to buy gold, maybe through the ETFs route and not physically. So, this would definitely help our current account deficit. So, for sure that, for the amount the acquisition has been made, I think that if judiciously managed and prudently managed, I think that this can have a very good positive effect on Reliance Capital. And of course, the company is also working hard on its insurance business, which could be a major revenue driver in the future. So I'm sure that there are positive things in store for Reliance Capital in the coming few months.
Mr. Chokalingam, that's an interesting point out there in regard to this whole ETF market and how that's really panning out, and what we've been tracking on the local front as well. Mr. Chokalingam, if you can hear me, what do you make of how this is likely to play out, and the kind of benefit and the kind of area that RCAP can now possibly, the asset management arm basically can tap into when we talk about the whole ETF market?
Yeah, certainly. As you mentioned, apart from increasing the size of the asset under management, it also gives an opportunity for Reliance Capital, to increase the penetration into ETF market. all of us know, the Goldman Sachs has been doing extremely well in the ETF. So definitely it would add good diversification. And secondly, in the last 1.5 years, the ETF segment has not grown much faster. But I have a very bullish view because, as I said, overall the penetration of Indian investors, whether you take a commodity exchange market or an equity market, it's very small. And so going forward, there is going to be tremendous surge in the participation, in the direct equity as well as in the ETF route. So this is going to provide a good platform for Reliance Capital, to exploit the opportunities arising out of ETF market in the medium to long term.
All right, fair enough, Ruchit. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for that quick take as far as RCAP is concerned and what the outlook looks like on the counter. All right, so that's as far as a quick take on some of those developments. Stock still holding steady, up by nearly 3% out here. All right, let's get back to our stock list then in terms of what we're tracking in terms of trade today. Today we got a whole host of stocks to talk about. Emphasis is zooming ahead as they've actually upgraded their guidance as well in their con call, and the profits, the performance this quarter has also been pretty strong. 10% up more on that stock. Bosch in the green. Bharti also is gaining as news came yesterday that it has sold tower assets in Africa in 7 countries. Another strong day for sugar. Bajaj Hindustan witnessing gains. IFCI, sorry for that, also been another active counter recently, up another 2.3%. Among the losers, Federal Bank cracks on weak Q2 earnings. Dr. Reddy's and Motherson also are trading weak, while Shrey Infra slumps as it finalizes its Viom stake sale, and is what we're seeing as far as some of the stocks are concerned that are losing out. All right, let's start off with emphasis straight up, Mr. In terms of what we're seeing, Mr. Chopra, in terms of what we're tracking here, as far as emphasis is concerned, what's your reading of it?
Well, I think the kind of guidance the company has given, the stock should positively react. And, in the medium term, short to medium term, I think the stock can inch up to 470, 475 odd levels. There should be a stop loss of 440 although. And I think that the IT pack post the correction we have seen in counters like HCL, TCS, and Infosys even, I think that they are now beautifully, now that I think that there should be a decent up move in the coming few sessions. So emphasis definitely looks a promising contender, and it should touch about 470, 475.
All right, 470, 475 still on cards there. Ruchit, what's your technical reading when it comes to emphasis?
Well, technically, if we see, then the stock is today is giving breakout of a long consolidation range.
Okay.
The stock has consolidated in this range of 450 to 300 since last 4 years, and that's a quite long duration of time where stock is consolidating sideways. And the breakout is coming with volume, so probably I think in near term the stock should move higher. On the higher side, we see that 520, 525 was a gap area where next resistance would come in. So I think I'm quite bullish on the stock from short-term as well as medium-term perspective. With a stop loss below 410, 415, one should look to accumulate this stock for target of 520, 525.
All right, so that's as far as emphasis is concerned, how the technical charts are panning out. In regard to some of the other counters, Bosch is in focus today. It's been active in the last couple of days is what we've been noticing. Vijay, any reading on Bosch?
Well, it's a zero debt company, I like zero debt balance sheets.
Okay.
And, the way it has panned out and the kind of presence it has, brand recall it has, and of course the kind of product line it has, it's almost an imperative for each and every auto company to have some of the Bosch products. I think the stock can go to about say 22,500 or 23,000 odd. For sure there's an up move, and I won't give a stop loss because generally this stock shows a movement of 300, 400 rupees quite easily. But again, in the short to medium term, I'm quite bullish on the counter.
All right, short-term bullish as far as Bosch is concerned. Ruchit, are the charts also somewhere supporting that thought?
Yeah, overall if you see the long-term charts, weekly and the monthly charts, they continue to form this high top, high bottom formation.
Okay.
And this last 4-5 months of action is just a corrective action within an uptrend. So probably every such correction should be used as a buying opportunity for medium to long-term traders. Yes, but those who are trading for short-term, maybe for next 15-20 odd days, then I think the resistance would coming around 22,400 odd levels, where there is 89 days of exponential moving average as well as previous resistance zone. So short-term traders can look to book profits in the stock around 20 to 400, whereas medium to long-term traders should look to buy on every dips.
All right, so that's as far as Bosch is concerned. pull up the RSI quickly for you. It's 56 is what we're seeing on this one. All right, let's talk about some of the other names that are active. Federal Bank has been in focus. Vijay, any reading the numbers have been a disaster. Stocks giving you that kind of a reaction. 11% lower today. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that the kind of NPAs, asset quality is bad, and I don't think that any bank for that matter can do good when the asset quality is bad. On the retail front also, it's not very encouraging the kind of growth they have shown. So I think that, the stock can, the steam can fizzle out further, and we can see lower levels on the stock. So hopefully, it would stop around 50 odd levels, I guess so.
All right, so that's far as Federal Bank is concerned. Ruchit, technically, how is this one placed?
So technically, we have another gap down opening in today's trading session after the results. The same was seen in July, in the month of July after the results, wherein the stock then corrected sharply in spite of this gap down opening. So signs are the same. A similar pattern is being formed in today's session. So and next support for the stock technically is coming around 54 rupees. So probably I think another 8 to 10% downside in this stock is quite possible.
I'm going to just pull up HCC for you, because after some block deals that we've actually seen, stocks got a little active. Pull up HCC on an intraday basis. Almost 0.8% of equity traded hands in some block deals is what we've seen. That's almost 60 odd lakh shares in 2 blocks out here. And that stock since that block deal has been on an upward trajectory. 17% higher here is what we're hearing, what we're seeing as far as the stock is concerned. Vijay, any reading on HCC?
Well, definitely, the stock has been beaten down a lot, and they have done some marquee projects. This is what I understand, and they have a capability of delivering, difficult projects, so to say. So I think that when the stocks are beaten down to that level, and they generally show a very sharp pullback. So this pullback can go up to about 33, 34 at the most. But again, the debt worries me a lot, and the balance sheets which are heavy on debt, generally, the possibilities of coming back to black or green, it's a bit distant. But yes, HCC has a decent order book, and I'm sure that the stock can go up to 35 odd.
Ruchit, technicals out here, because we've seen quite a few of these mid-cap infra names being on the move in the last couple of days. We've seen what's happened with Lancome. These are all the beaten down names that have been getting some traction. HCC specifically, what's your reading of it?
So in last 4-5 trading sessions, we have seen that volumes have increased significantly in this stock, and it is being coming up with from its oversold momentum reading zone. Probably I think this up move would continue up to 33 rupees, where the next falling trend line resistance would come in. So around 33 rupees, our advice would be to book profits on the long positions if anyone has bought it at lower levels.
All right, so that's as far as HCC is concerned. Before we wrap up, just get Motherson Sumi up for you as well, and get a quick mention on that stock and how it's trading in terms of trade today. Just get Motherson Sumi down nearly 1%. Any comment here, Vijay?
I think the damage has already happened for Motherson Sumi, and the Volkswagen story is now, I think, playing out much more beyond the actual situation. I think the stock can very strongly come back and go back to 300 levels. So I would be a buyer in this counter. I'm fairly bullish because the company, number one, has a very diversified presence across the world. They work across companies. It's not like there are just a couple of companies they're selling products to, and the product range is very large. So I believe so that Motherson Sumi is consolidating at these levels, and around 250, 254, this stock can be bought into for a target of 300.
All right, gentlemen, we leave it there. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to get your thoughts and perspective on the markets as well as some of the stocks that we're focusing on. Vijay, on the fundamentals. Ruchit, thanks so much for your technical reading of these newsmakers today. On that note, it's a wrap on Market Movers. Up next, mid-cap trading strategies with Sharmila Joshi of sharmilajoshi.com on the world of mid-caps. Stay tuned.